Hello everyone. We are going to be looking at Monday, April 13th, and we're specifically going to be looking at your sample project, your informational checklist, and how you know what is being asked of you. So if you've read the objective, you know that we are now going to be working on a research project. So you will get the chance to explore several different topics, and then you're going to be presenting some information you learned on that topic. So let's first take a look at our checklist. So if I click here, it takes me to my informational checklist. I would like to go over this first so you know exactly what we're looking for and how you will be given feedback on this particular project. So we have seen checklists like this before in our writing. So let's go over a couple of elements in here. So overall, the idea is to show information about a subject. You can incorporate different kind of modes to do that, and we'll talk about that later in the week. But right now, we're just looking at kind of what elements do I need in my project, okay? So the first one is a lead, right? So how do I grab my reader, kind of like a hook or introduction. Next will be transitions. So we're going to be looking to see, does this person in the presentation we're looking at have ways to transition from one topic to the next or one piece of information to the next? Also, we'll be looking at the ending. So how do they end their presentation? How do they leave us with some closure? We'll also be looking at organization, so a couple elements in there, but how do they use different subheadings, right? How do they make choices about which information comes first, second, third? And again, how do I transition from one topic to the next? There's also some stuff under development, so we're going to be looking at elaboration. So again, how do I explain the information that I've been given? Am I thorough in showing my findings? Bibliography, we're going to show you how to do that, so don't worry too much about that, but did I show where I got my information? Did I make information understandable and interesting? Have I used different structures to organize my project instead of just one? We're also going to be looking at craft, so that's things like style and word choice like we've talked about, adding color, that kind of thing. So here, did they choose to explain the different vocabulary within your topic or project? Is that explained? Did they use different analogies? Did you use different metaphors? Did you use color, that kind of thing, to explain what you want to? Did you present your information clearly? Is it clear why you chose to make those choices? And also, did you support the reader's learning? So you're always kind of using your teacher voice in this, or always presenting information in this. Okay, and then the last couple things, spelling and punctuation, of course, those are always important, and we've covered those a lot in our topics. And you can see on our rubric, just like we've done before, we have not yet, starting to, or yes. So those are the ways that you will be getting feedback, and I would like to think about that now as we look at our sample project. So if I go back to my calendar and I click on sample project, here is what I'm going to see. Now I am going to show you this view because there are some notes down here that I would like you to look at as we go through it. Okay, so this project is a sample project. It's about carbon footprints and our planet. One footprint could change everything. So here you can see that there's already kind of a lead or a hook. That idea of saying, wait, one footprint could change everything, that gets me excited as the viewer, as the reader. Okay. Next, this person chose to do a table of contents, which I would highly recommend, so we can know in your project what we're looking at, right? So we have some background information, and you can see the different questions this person framed their research around. What are carbon footprints and why do they matter? How does technology contribute to the problem? And what can you do to help, along with that bibliography, which we'll go over later. Then it jumps right in. So this one has a really nice slide about background information. You can tell that this person got information from maybe one or two different sources and put them together. It says down here, this is great BK in the context, which is crucial but for an informational project. It uses clear headings and transitions to connect their thoughts. So it's not just like throwing it in there. I know that this is background information as the reader. I might not know what a carbon footprint is, but this is going to help me learn that. Next, we have a couple of different ways to organize all of the information that we found in our research. So this one has a heading that's telling us that this is going to talk to us about activities that help us or like contribute to our carbon footprint, right? And then there's a bullet list, and that's really clean and that's really nice. Again, as the viewer, as the reader, that helps me kind of understand the information because I did not do the research like you did, right? And so I need to go through and understand that information. Down here, we have a new question. So the so what, Now we're always going to be looking for those research questions as we're going, and we are going to be entertaining the audience with that. So it's a different way to structure information. Don't just tell us what you learned, ask us questions, involve us as the audience, right? And so here it's talking about how does it affect the world, and then it presents me information. But first it hooked me as the reader. Next one is about technology's impact. Once again, the did you know is kind of, again, talking to me as the audience, kind of getting me more involved. And then this is used as a story, so it's kind of cool to say, imagine you spend all day on screens, moving from one form of technology to another. So it gets the audience engaged. And again, this is craft structure, like that rubric was looking for. Definitely try to include something like that in your project to keep your audience engaged and show your skill as a writer. This next one is a really nice graphic. So it talked on the last slide about how does technology impact it, and then it breaks it down really nicely. We got phones, video games, and television. I love this graphic because, again, as the audience or as the reader, it really shows me where I can go and what kind of information I can choose to get. It's not overwhelming. So I think that's a really great way to organize it. Okay. Now on this slide, they chose to include a Wii video, and I'm going to encourage you to go back and look at that on your own. But it has a powerful impact. So this person took kind of all of the information that they had in their project and then made a video to help you understand what you can do. It's a different medium, right? It's a different way to see and interact with the information. Really nice job on this. Please go back and watch this on your own, but it's a really cool way to break up that information even further. It's not just another slide. Okay, down here again we have some nice graphics. How can you help? Understanding the problem. So again, it's asking me as the reader or as the audience how I can be involved. There's also very nice craft structure in this slide. So if you read it carefully, you can see that again, it's talking to you. It starts by saying at this point, no shame, is not the answer to help reduce the amount of CO2 that each person emits. No change will happen if people feel bad about themselves and the way they live life. So that is going through some craft structure techniques there. It's not just presenting information, it's talking to the reader, it's using their voice, it's using their writing skills, and there's some powerful word choice and even some figurative language if we go down here about how we can help. Okay. Then another really nice graphic. So it's presenting us a solution to the problem that was posed in the last slide. 4 simple ways to live more sustainably, and it gives me a really nice graphic. This is so clean, it's really easy for me to read on 4 ways that I can do that. It feels very obtainable, and I really appreciate the way this is set up. Then back here we have one more, so ultimately just be mindful. So it's kind of answering that original question. So first we know what a carbon footprint is, but down here it's kind of the so what, how does this affect the world, and what can I do? It answers that finally by saying be mindful. Just being informed and aware of making small choices each day to reduce your carbon footprint will make a big impact. So it's leaving your reader with hope. It's a nice conclusion. It wraps things up. It's not just saying other information that's been there. It's not repeating itself. It's a nice conclusion. And then finally, we have a bibliography, and we'll talk more about that later, like I said, but this is just showing where you got your sources and what they are. So right now, guys, your job is to pause this video. It'll end here in a moment, and go back through the slides, and you are going to use this checklist to grade this person's project, okay? And there's a Google form right here that's going to ask you different questions about how you would score it and why. So use the checklist, go through and score this person's project. That's going to help you set your focus for the week on how your project will look.